This is a CBS2 News update. I'm Mary Calvi. We start with a developing story. People are being evacuated from an East Village building over structural concerns after an overnight fire. The 6-story mixed-use building on First Avenue caught fire around 2:30 this morning. 14 people were hurt, 11 of them firefighters. Smoke conditions close to nearby schools, Eastside Community High School and PS 19. The FDNY says the fire is still burning in the back of the building. The cause is under investigation. National Weather Service is out today surveying the damage from last night's storm. They have confirmed there was a tornado on Long Island in Ronkonkoma.
We found an EF0 tornado, wind speeds of 85 miles per hour. We're looking at a path length of about 400 yards, and that translates to an area that's just to our north here from Iroquois Street down to Seneca and North Ontario Streets.
A tornado also confirmed in the Hudson Valley, and the National Weather Service says it's been at least a couple of years since a tornado has been in that area of Ronkonkoma. They will continue assessing the damage in other parts today that were hit by the storm as well. Some of the worst damage we saw was in Rockland, Fairfield, and northern Westchester County. Downed trees and power lines resulted in about 8,000 customers in the dark overnight. Westchester County saw between 1.5 and 3 inches of rain. The heaviest in the area was Chappaqua. Wind speeds in the area recorded between 40 and 50 miles per hour. It took some drivers hours to get home last night with all the road closures. Crews continued working this morning to restore power and clean up that area. Taking a look outside now, it looks like we're out of the clouds and into the sun. Let's get to John Elliott with your forecast and talk more about those tornadoes as well, John.
Yeah, what a dramatic turnaround. And you're right, Mary. Just a few minutes ago, maybe 5 minutes ago, National Weather Service did confirm, at least in Rockland County, it was an even stronger tornado than the one that is going to go in the books for Ronkonkoma. But Mary said it. It's all out of here. We've got high pressure locked and loaded, ready to go. Mostly sunny, winds are variable at 3. 70 right now, 61 to 74, your temperature spread. Actually, a wee bit cooler for the city. Dew points, though, they're lower as well. So there's drier air in place because of that north-northwest wind. So we're still above normal, but it feels better. 68 the normal. We'll beat that today and tomorrow. Scanning the skies, I mean, the rain's out of here. It is out of here. There it goes. Here comes another weakening front. Here's how the models handle it. They see a mix of sun and clouds, a little bit more in the way of cloud cover north and northeast. And then you find overnight good for baseball. And then it's a shower or a storm late tomorrow pushing through. That'll usher in cooler, more fall-like temperatures. But wait a minute, we bounce back. Look at Sunday and Monday, right back in the upper 70s. Enjoy your day today, Mayor.
John, thank you. Police are looking for a suspect who mugged a woman just outside her Greenwich Village apartment building. It all happened right in view of a surveillance camera near Minetta and Bleak Streets. You see the suspect follow a 26-year-old woman to her building just after 10:30 last Wednesday night. Investigators say the man took out a pair of pliers before demanding she turn over her money. Police say the suspect took $200 from her wallet before taking off. The woman was not hurt. An update today, police are looking for a third suspect wanted for using a dating app to rob people in the Bronx. The suspect struck 6 times in December and January, all in the Morrisania section. 2 men are already under arrest, but police are still searching for 24-year-old Emmanuel Lawton. In each case, the victim was lured to a building on Park Avenue expecting to meet a woman for a date. Instead, they were confronted by 2 or 3 men who attacked them, stealing cash and cell phones. And happening today, Americans cross country will receive a presidential alert on their cell phones. It's the first test of a wireless emergency warning system. The alert is intended to give Americans advance warning of a national crisis, and you cannot opt out. FEMA officials say the president must follow specific guidelines before activating the system.
There are laws, policies, and procedures that are in place, other protocols to ensure that the system is used in accordance with its intended use as defined by the law. If we have something that's of national significance, we could rapidly notify the American public of that event.
FEMA says the test message will be sent out at 2:18 this afternoon. It will have a sound similar to that of an Amber Alert. If you're being annoyed by calls from telemarketers, you are not alone. Complaints to New York's Do Not Call Registry were way up last year, but almost none was investigated. So what's the disconnect? CBS2's Carolyn Gussoff reports.
They're the most unwelcome of callers.
It's annoying and it's scary because your number is everywhere.
Midnight, I'll be waking up to phone calls.
Telemarketers, scammers, often disguised as local calls.
Constantly.
14 million New Yorkers are on the Do Not Call Registry to block nuisance calls.
Most telemarketers will be required to stop calling you.
But maddening violations continue.
It's constant. And it's getting worse. I'm on the do not call list. I don't think that works, though.
It doesn't work, according to this audit by New York State Controller Tom DiNapoli. Do Not Call Registry complaints doubled to 450,000 last year, but they're falling on deaf ears.
Only one case was referred for further investigation.
You heard right, one case per year referred for enforcement.
Who's going to do it if the state isn't following up or doing what they're supposed to do?
And the audit found fines for violators plummeted from $1.9 million in 2014 to just $44,000 last year.
Folks that are supposed to investigate these cases were vastly understaffed during the time period we looked at.
The Do Not Call Registry program, logging nearly 500,000 complaints last year, was staffed by only 5 people, many of them wearing other hats, and no one in charge. The Director of Investigations position was vacant for a year and a half. In response, the Department of State, which runs the Do Not Call Registry, says it's already made improvements filling the investigations job. Why'd it take so long? No response to our questions, but to auditors, the Department of State wrote new technologies make it difficult to identify companies making unwanted calls. Frustrated New Yorkers say turn up the volume on enforcement or hang up the program. On Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS2 News.
In today's Health Watch, New Jersey lawmakers are pushing a bill they say would save some kids' lives. The legislation would require public schools to screen 7th through 12th grade students for depression once a year by using a questionnaire. The results would be shared with their parents, but would not be considered a diagnosis. The American Academy of Pediatrics says 1 in 5 children suffer from depression and, in the worst cases, can lead to suicide. School's Chancellor Richard Carranza vows to find a new recipe for delivering healthy meals to New York City's 1.1 million public school students. This after CBS2 turns up another example of inedible food. CBS2 political reporter Marcia Kramer is discovering more problems and demanding answers.
The green moldy bread that turned up at a Brownsville, Brooklyn school last week is something Schools Chancellor Richard Carranza never wants to see on any student's lunch tray.
It's absolutely disgusting. There's no reason why that should happen.
But it did happen because 2 years ago, the Department of Education's food unit changed its bread contract. Daily bread deliveries were canceled. Most schools now get fresh bread only twice a week. Cafeteria workers tell CBS2 that when the bread sits out, it often gets moldy.
I'm not going to rest, and I know that members of my team are not going to rest until we not only eliminate that kind of thing from happening, but that doesn't happen again.
The Chancellor has ordered an independent audit of the food contracts, but CBS2 has turned up numerous examples of things the auditors should question. Food for thought. Here's just one, chicken dumplings. DOE is paying $84.88 a case to a company that gets it from the manufacturer for $60. DOE would save $1.8 million by buying direct. There are many other examples, yogurt parfaits, cereal, lots of things where it's clear the DOE is not getting the best bang for the buck.
This is exactly the kind of efficiencies that we want the auditors to give us feedback on and to give us some substantive recommendations on.
The Chancellor says he's also concerned about the fact that kids aren't eating the meals that they're served. We are too. I showed the Chancellor these pictures of a chicken dumpling and fried rice meal on the menu last week. Much of the food thrown away because cafeteria workers say it's high on the kids, you can't expect me to eat that list. They claim it's food being purchased by people who don't care if the kids actually eat it.
It's a matter of social justice for many of our kids. This is the only meal that they eat. They have to be appetizing to our students.
One thing on the Chancellor's plate is to establish a board of student food tasters to help develop menus that kids will eat. I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS 2 News.
The Chancellor has hired the accounting firm Ernst & Young to audit the food contracts. The contracts are also being examined by the City Comptroller and the Department of Investigation. Toys R Us may be staging a comeback. The former retail giant announced in March it would be liquidating U.S. operations. More than 700 stores were closed. Now the Wall Street Journal is reporting Toys R Us has canceled its bankruptcy auction. It was set to sell off intellectual properties like brand names, website domains, and the Jeffrey the Giraffe mascot. But there is a proposed plan to allow the company to relaunch a retail business using those assets. And that's your CBS 2 News Update. I'm Mary Calvi.